Just One Whisler with Sawyer Whisler from ThisLL Do Farms. Welcome from Southeast Iowa, Sawyer.
Great to be here, Jim. Always a pleasure. Really appreciate the invite to come on the show. My name's Sawyer Whisler. I'm a 22-year-old farmer from Southeast Iowa that also does some social media stuff. Me and my dad started a brand called ThisLL Do Farm. It's a social media brand around our family farm, and we document our day-to-day lives as farmers to the world through social media. And we started that about 2.5 years ago. And then just recently, we also started a podcast called Barn Talk that is shot and recorded in the hayloft of our barn. And we started that about a year ago as well. So we're farmers, and then we do some social media stuff as well. And that keeps me pretty busy. So yeah, it's been a great journey, and we're getting.
Well, one of the things I noticed from your Barn Talk podcast is your famous saying, "We're just trying to do some good in this world." So that kind of resonates with me with your podcast. It's something memorable. Tell me about the saying. Why do you say that?
I think it's just a really good way to just resonate with people, like, hey, we're just father and son doing this thing together. We're trying to share our opinions on life. And if you get any value, we always say share the show if you get any value. And we're just trying to do some good in this world, because I don't think there's enough people that are just showing. I'd consider Dad and I average Americans out there that probably have the same views as a lot of the Americans in our country. And I don't think a lot of average Americans that have those views share their opinions because they are scared. They don't want to get canceled. They don't want to, they don't want to share it. They don't want to have the time to do it. They don't want to start a podcast, So I think it's just a good way to just resonate with people and give them value. And we always just say, we're just trying to do some good in this world. Either make you laugh, you learn something, we resonated with you, you relate to us. That's kind of just all the ways that we can do some good, so.
Were you trying to be?
Yes.
Were you trying to be authentic with that, or was that natural?
It kind of just rolled off my tongue one episode, as you do the podcast at first, I was never really great at public speaking. It wasn't something that I was a natural at. And as you just continue to do it, I think we're about 40 episodes in now, stuff just sometimes rolls off your tongue. And I was like, you know what? I like that. It is being authentic though, I don't hear a lot of podcasts say it, and it's just kind of something that naturally rolled off my tongue because it is kind of what we're trying to do, so.
I think I see your podcast. So it's a podcast, and I also see it as a show because you guys have the studio per se in the barn. You have live guests. You guys spend hours on editing, creating a great podcast, great content. So you just want people to listen to it or view it. So do you think this is a show, a podcast, a little bit of both?
Yeah, I would probably consider it more of a show, but it is both. I mean, the great part about it is doing a video and an audio version of a podcast is you get the best of both worlds. People can listen to it strictly if they want. People can watch it. And the biggest reason why we do the video is for clips to post-produce on other platforms, because you do not want to be beholding to one platform, because if they went down tomorrow, then your following's gone. So that's a big reason why. And it also promotes the show. So it gets people to come from TikTok or Instagram over. So I consider it both. I really don't have a preference on it. I guess you could say it's probably more of a show though, because it is definitely, we definitely go a little bit harder than most podcasts out there, as far as all the set, the video, everything. So
I think the intro is great too. And then you guys do a little snippet of something in the show as the kind of pre-roll, and then to the great intro. And so what's next with this podcast? Just keep producing.
Yeah, we're really focused on just getting the best guests we possibly can on. We want to learn to do Zoom kind of just like this, because let's be real, we are in Southeast Iowa, so it's not the easiest thing to get guests to come to where we are. But yeah, we want to get on Zoom. We want to continue to make great content. We also want to really get the barn insulated, because over the winter we actually had to move the podcast to my garage and shoot it in there because the hayloft of our barn just got so cold and there's no insulation. So we'd really like to get the barn, get an electrician in there, get some insulation in there, get it foolproof so that we can there. It is a really, I mean, it's just of when we sit down in the barn versus the garage, it's just completely different. So that is definitely one of our goals for sure.
So your story and journey started before the Barn Talk podcast. You grew up on a pig farm, you love farming, but you knew you wanted to expand, to reach beyond just being a traditional farmer. So you kind of had that vision. So tell me about that and growing up in Iowa.
Yeah, so I love living in Iowa. I'd probably be an Iowan for life. I grew up and I didn't have the traditional, I guess, farm kid life. My dad, when the 90s happened and the hog market crashed, my dad had to go off the farm and work, and my grandpa stayed on because there wasn't enough for my dad. And so my dad was constantly working, trying to grind so he can get back to the farm. And he always told us that when he came home, the limited time that he was home, he didn't always want to make us work, because let's be real, when you're a kid, I mean, it's really, to develop work ethic, you don't love it to start. Like, you don't love going and helping your dad all the time to do these tasks. You kind of just build it as you do them. And he said that he didn't want to push on that too hard. So I guess I didn't really get into farming totally 100% until I got in my teenage years. 16 to 18 is really when I fully got into farming. And I love it. It's a huge passion of mine. And once I really went all in on it, that passion developed, that love for it developed. And that's kind of what I hear from a lot of people. You know, I wasn't in 4-H, I wasn't in FFA or anything. I was really focused on sports. That was my biggest thing when I was in high school, you know, middle school, all that stuff. So after high school, I went into farming full time, and that's when I became a hog farmer. My dad had 2,400 hog barns, and he needed somebody to take care of them. And I decided, you know what, if I'm going to go to college, I would come back here and do the same thing that I'm going to do if I would do it right out of high school. It'd just be 4 years later. So I went full time into hog farming, and the great part about being a hog farmer is you have time. If you get up early, get your chores done, most days you have time to do something else. And so with that time, I was looking for side hustles that I could start to do because I wanted to make some extra money. Because everything that I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make this farm viable for my kids. And my dad's on the same mission. And so I'm just trying to hustle and do that. And so I really started studying social media. And it was kind of developing. It all didn't happen at once. When I was 18, I really got started looking at social media, entrepreneurship, stuff like that. And I was trying to find my way in this social media life because I knew it could work. I knew these people were making money with social media. I knew they were having great impact on whatever industry niche they decided to choose. So I was dabbling. I was seeing what I wanted to be, and then I finally came across a farming page on Instagram and a farming YouTube channel, and I noticed that no one was doing modern day hog production. No one was documenting real pig farming, real hog farming in a hog barn. And I just decided one day, this is what I need to do. This is my niche. This is what we need to be focusing on. And I picked up my camera, and it kind of started from there. And, you know, I wasn't the greatest at it at all, but as you keep doing it, you just get better. So it's kind of a little story on that.
So with that, so you guys are a contract grower for Eichelberg?
Yep.
Is that what your hog farm is? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you started this YouTube channel, it was really successful, and then you started the podcast. Was it the success that led to the podcast, or was that part of the plan from the beginning?
It really didn't. We never started ThisLL Do Farm with the intent of doing a podcast. That kind of evolved as we did ThisLL Do Farm. I always knew Dad was a great talker. You've had him on the show. He can talk with the best of them. And yeah, I think it was just it just developed over time. We thought, you know what, it'd be really cool. Like, we went up in the barn and we were like, we're doing nothing with this barn. Why don't we clean this hayloft out and do something up here? And then we kind of were like, let's do a podcast. And then we're like, oh, let's call it Barn Talk. And it just kind of evolved. And it was a really good way. The reason we really started it was, I think it was a really good way to show people who we are as farmers, one, and, you know, talk about ag in a longer form format versus our 10 to 12 minute ThisLL Do Farm videos. And also show people who we are outside of just being farmers, because we have opinions on all kinds of things. We are, you know, we're multifaceted people. We have different interests, and we don't just always are focused on farming. That's all we do, you know, and we wanted to share that with people. And I think it's created a lot of loyal people that love us for who we are, not just what the content we put out. I mean, the content's good, but they can relate to us in different ways than just farming.
So what was the defining moment that you knew you wanted to be a triple threat? And when I talk about a triple threat, like, I know there's that reference in Hollywood, you know, singing, dancing, acting. So I mean this in the sense of being a farmer, also now a media personality and director. So you're doing a bunch of things, wearing a bunch of hats, combining all these aspects for fluid level of success. Was there a defining moment, or?
I would say I don't think there was ever a defining moment. I think the defining moment for me, though, is when I wanted to be an entrepreneur and a farmer. Really was when I graduated high school and I made the decision I wasn't going to go to college. All my friends went to college. Everyone that I knew that I hung out with was gone. I was going against the grain and the norm, because all I was ever taught was go to college. And it really put myself up against the wall, essentially, and said, well, this is life now. This is, because I would consider myself a builder. When I was in sports, I was so focused on football and wanting to be the best at football and wanting to progress in the gym and do weights and all that stuff. That was like my purpose. That I loved building my body. I loved getting better at that. And that was like everything for me. And so when that was gone and school was gone, it was like, what's the game now? What am I going to build now? What's the game? And so pretty much put my back up against the wall, and I had to figure out what the game was going to be for me. And truly, I just love building things. I love building the farm. I love building social media, and I want to eventually build a business as well. And that was the defining moment for me. Like, you're out on your own now. What are you going to do about it? And it kind of just, like, it's kind of with the podcast, it evolved. I didn't just one day say, you know, oh, I'm going to be a social media farmer and that's what I'm going to do. You know, it was like, you just progressively figure things out as you go. And so I'd say that was a really big defining moment for me, just personally, on making this journey happen.
So when you talk about growth, like, you like to see, like, get a vision for something and see progress, like more followers, more content. Is that kind of the process?
Oh,
as well?
100%. That is what fills my cup up. People always ask, do what you're passionate about, do what makes you happy. I don't think there's one thing. Farming is up there, but there's not one thing that like makes me happy. If I did this one thing, it'd make me happy. The one thing that is just the process of building something, having that vision and making it happen and seeing it pan out, seeing the growth, seeing the impact it has on people. That there's no better feeling than that. And that's what fills my cup up. So yeah.
One question real quick about football. Did you just love playing football, or did you have a desire to put the work in to win a championship? Or Both.
It's really hard to say because I always thought I would I would love the limelight. I would like scoring a touchdown. I'd like to be the best, I could be, which I did. But when I scored a touchdown, I never got like this overwhelming feeling of fulfillment. It was really, I think it was more of the team thing, trying to win a championship, that I loved more than the personal accolade. And I didn't know that until you had success on the field. Then it was like, oh, well, that's that. Let's go score another one. Let's go get some more points on the board. So, which I didn't think was going to happen for me personally. I thought I was going to love that, but when I did it, it just wasn't what I thought it was cracked up to be.
So the title kind of the podcast, Just One Whisler, was in reference to usually you and your dad torque tag team a lot of stuff. I feel like, like you said, your dad's a great interview. And we thought, let's get down to the younger generation a little bit. I think it's vital to connect with what the young people are thinking. So we thought this would be a great story to tell. What kind of mentor and leader has your dad been?
Oh man, my dad he's been everything for me. He is my hero. He is the greatest mentor that I'll ever have in my life because he's taught me how to be a man. He's taught me how to be a farmer. I'm constantly learning from him every single day. And my dad has always been supportive of what I want to do, no matter what. Some things he was never like, no, don't do this. It was never like, just shut me down. He was a little skeptical on some ideas versus others, but he always supported my vision on things, always gave me advice whenever I needed somebody to talk to about a problem that I'm having. He's always there to give me his, point of view on it. And he's a great mentor. And like I said, I listen to a lot of people online, a lot of businessmen, a lot of successful high-level people, and I learn a lot of things from them. But there's something about your dad that you can't get from those people. Your dad teaches you so much about life and how to be a man and how to be all these different things that you'll never get from any outside influence or any outside person. So yeah, he's been instrumental to who I am today.
He said you're the real decision maker. Is that true?
I would say on the social media brand side, I probably make a lot of the decisions, but on the farm side, he definitely makes more decisions on that side of it than I do. And that's something that I want to learn. I'm still trying to learn the farming side every day. I'm 22, but I'm still have things that I don't know 100% that I'm still trying to learn. And if you ask him, his overall goal is to get a swivel koozie on his mower and just have me do everything. My brother and I do everything, and he doesn't have to make any of the decisions, which it will probably happen. So I just got to keep learning from him. But as far as the brand side, I make a lot of the decisions. Yeah.
So hog farming over the next 5 years, how do you see that evolving?
Oh man, there's a lot that you could say there. I think showing the story is so important. I think what we do, documenting our day-to-day lives, is really important. We need more and more people to do it. We really do. We need more and more hog producers out there to get on social media and just do it and show the story. Even if it's not great quality, it still matters. And I think Dad and I always talk about this. We need to stop trying to be the second lean meat behind chicken, and we need to give the consumers what they want. And they want a fatter, juicier pig. And I'm no nutritionist. I don't know a ton about that stuff, but I know what the consumer wants. The consumer wants a fatter, juicier, tastier pig, piece of pork. And so we need to really focus on that, I think, in the next 5 years. And I think we are slowly starting to figure that out, that that's what the consumer wants. And I just think, I don't think we're going to be it's not going to be as consolidated. I think more and more people are trying to figure out ways to go independent, figure out creative ways to go maybe direct to consumer. Figure out different ways to not be tied to such a big consolidated system.
What's something about you that we haven't heard before?
I would say a lot of people from the outside, when they watch our videos, you see us, we're farmers. And even more so, even on the podcast, I don't think people realize how entrepreneurial minded I really am, how business minded I really am. I love business probably more than I love farming. Farming is a really close second, but I love business. I do. I love business. And I don't know if I show that enough on what we do, but I truly want to build my own business one day. And I think that will give me a lot of fulfillment in my life and fill my cup up if I achieve that goal. So yes, that's it.
So with business, there's diversification. I know you're dabbling in the real estate market a bit, a few other business ventures. Why do you think the fluidity is important?
I think diversification is so important. It's so hard because you'll have somebody say that when you find something that works, go all in on that thing and just have blinders on and don't focus on diversifying. But I think when you're younger and if you can figure things out earlier than, let's say you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, you have a chance to diversify, I guess you'd say, because you have more time on your side. And I'm somebody that I'm always looking for what's going to change in this industry. And I don't want to be tied to one industry if it ever tanks. Just the same way with being only on one platform with social media. I'm somebody that's trying to make it so if I had to pivot, I have something else available for me that I'm not going to lose everything and be, go down to zero, right? I like being safe and having different outlets. And also, I think the key to building wealth, is having multiple income streams. I think if you ask the average millionaire out there, they have 7 streams of income. I mean, it's important. So I think diversification is huge. I'm in real estate. I started real estate investing with my brother when I was 18. We bought our first property and we've slowly scaled from there. And that's one thing that I'm also passionate about. Real estate. I think it's a timeless investment that anyone can make, and it can give people a really good life. So it's a really good way to build some wealth. So yeah, I'm in the stock market as well. I think personal finance is really huge for anyone to learn. Any way you can invest and make more money on your money, it's essential. It's essential.
So if you were in charge of the NPPC or a swine leadership group in the US, what would your message or strategy be?
Oh man, I would try to use influencers as much as I can to promote pork, the consumption of pork, how to cook pork. I'd also be trying to get in major chain restaurants and making the best piece of pork. Dad and I always go to this restaurant called Tuscan Moon, and it's in our local area, and they make the best pork ribeye we've ever ate. It's literally, everyone always says, oh, steak over pork any day. But when you have this pork ribeye up against a, steak, a ribeye, it's hard. It's a toss up. I don't know what I'm going to get. And I think that if the National Pork Board would just try to hire a chef and try to get into these major steakhouse chains and offer a pork product, I think we couldn't sell enough pork. I think the demand would just be outrageous. And I think we should try to focus on selling more pork in the US. I really do. I think the customers are here. We haven't been doing a good enough job focusing on the customers that are here. If we leverage influencers, barbecue enthusiasts, chefs, stuff like that, and we got into restaurants, I think it'd be really good, because everyone loves bacon. Everyone loves bacon, but if we had a signature kind of steak, kind of, a pork ribeye is perfect. Pork ribeye is perfect. I think that would really sell.
Yeah, I kind of think the same thing in Canada. Sometimes I think the government should invest in more food places popping up so you can travel and have accessibility to better food than just in the big cities, because they're
Mhm.
spending a lot of money at casinos and things that don't matter. But I think the food, and then like you talked about the pork ribeye, we don't have any of that here either. And all it takes is one person or one opportunity to grow a phenomenon, and
Mhm.
we gotta run with that. But so the Sawyer 3, fire me off a list of the top 3 things that breed success for you, A, as a hog producer, and B, as a media source.
I would say number one, having a vision is so crucial. Having a vision, having a mission, having a place that you want to go. Because if you don't have a plan, you're going to plan to fail. You don't know where you're going. You feel lost in life. You got to have a vision to know what you're going to do and where you're going to go. And I think that is just essential to everything that I've ever done. Yeah, did I have the exact place I was going to be? No, but I had a vision to start, and that's crucial. If you ever want to start something, you got to have at least a little vision. It doesn't have to be massive, but start having a vision, and you'll figure more and more stuff out as you go, and your vision will grow and get bigger. Because I feel like once you accomplish a goal, the ceiling, it's like walking into another building. The ceiling goes higher, the walls go wider, and your perspective of what you can achieve just gets bigger, and then your vision just gets bigger as well. So I think that's really crucial no matter what you do. And I think practicing visualizing that vision is really important. Manifesting that vision is really important. If you listen to any high level person, they will tell you a big part of their success is they sit down, they have a plan, they visualize it, they manifest it because they know where they're going. And that's huge. And then number two, I would say always learning. I'm always trying to learn. My dad and I were students of life, and whether it be books, whether it be successful business people online that have free content just like this, giving it out to people, just to build a brand with not wanting nothing in return, or keynote speeches. We live in a world today where it's so easy to learn from people that have the knowledge that you want. You just got to go find it, really, truly, and it's for free. It's crazy. So I just feel like it's so easy to learn. Just try to be a student of life, because I think a lot of people, once they're done with school, they just stop learning, and then they don't progress anymore. And there's something to be said about learning. Like, I did not like learning in high school, but when I started to learn about things that I could apply to my life, and I started to learn things about business and what I was passionate about, I like learning now. I genuinely like to learn new things. And so there's power in that. Knowledge is power, no matter what industry you're in. I think it's really, really important. So even if I think I have a goal, I try to read 10 pages a day. That'll take you 20 to 30 minutes a night, if you're underlining and really reading, and that's nothing. I mean, if you did that every day for 365, I mean, those little compound, it makes the biggest impact on you. And then number three, I'd say stop valuing other people's opinions. This was so essential to my little success that I have so far. If I would have valued what other people said about me, I would have never gotten this far. I would have never started ThisLL Do Farm. I would have never started Barn Talk. I would have never went into farming full time, because I would have gone with the crowd and just went to college, and I would have never just jumped in and bet on myself. So I think, to an extent, you don't want to just not value anyone's opinion, but don't value people's opinions that are trying to bring you down or aren't where you want to be, because they don't know what your story is. They don't know where you want to go, and they don't know even how you're going to do something. So just don't let those people bring you down, and bet on yourself and go.
How can we be better producers and stewards for our industry as a whole over individual operations to make our industry better?
Yeah, I think this was a lot. I think this was I kind of touched on this before with the National Pork Board. What do I do if I was part of the National Pork Board? I really would say that I see consolidation going away. I think more and more people are trying to find a way to partner with USDA facility and trying to, sell their own pork. Or, I think, like I said, people need to show more about their farming, their operation. I think, because I mean, that's the only way that we can be better producers and stewards, I think, is just showing people how we do things. Because the outside perspective, if you're not in this industry, is you don't know much and you just take what the media says and you go with that. So if we can try to educate people, I think it can make the biggest impact. And we're seeing it on our side, on our channel. It's slowly growing, but more and more people, we get comments all the time saying, man, you really have changed my perspective on this kind of farming, this kind of, lifestyle. So I think that's huge. And just back to what I said about consumers wanting a fatter, juicier cut of pork, focus on selling in the US. Those are my big things.
Do you think that we become so consolidated, it's going to have the opposite effect and it's going to kind of burst and be more direct food to consumer, where there's going to be an opportunity now for more entrepreneur, small companies to get in?
I'm not sure on that. I think if the Packers start to lean a different way, and they're not, like we talked a little bit earlier before we got started, we were talking about cultured meat, lab grown meat. And it's one of those things that I don't think it's on a lot of people's radar. And this is kind of going into my hot take, but people aren't really looking at that. But if the Packer can cut out the liability of having livestock delivered to their plant, don't have the liability of the farmer, don't have the liability of, finding a needle in an animal, anything like that. And they can just grow the meat in a lab at their headquarters, and they can just cut us out and make more money for them, because at the end of the day, they want, it's a business, they need to make money. Why wouldn't they do that? To me, that's a no-brainer for them on their business side. And it's something to look into. And I think if they make a shift like that, it's really going to worry people. And the people that decide, I'm not going to be beholden to that system. I need to figure out a different way. I need to go independent. I need to get smarter with how I'm marketing, all that stuff. And I'll be honest with you, we're kind of in that boat. This system's been very good for us, but times are changing, and they're changing rapidly. And I think it's really important to, if you're not beholden to somebody else on how your success can be, and you can try to take all that on yourself and have a plan, you can kind of define your own success. So if the packing plants, Packers try to do something a little different, I think it's going to raise some concern, and more people are going to get creative. And you're already kind of seeing it, though. I mean, there's something to be said about that story. People really love that story of knowing where their food comes from. And I don't think that system does a good job at all of trying to tell that story or show it. So
part of your current approach is to show consumers but what really happens in a barn in a farming operation. So is this approach working, or what hasn't worked?
It's definitely working. I think a huge misconception with people is they think that consumers, all they care about is the practices and the labels on the package. That's what they care about. But when you bring someone literally into your farm, essentially, and show them who you are as farmers, I think the who you are as a farmer is so much more important than the practices you say you implement on your operation. I think they are important, but I do not think they're as important as showing what you do and showing who you are as a farmer. Because I really think people can get with the idea of, these guys, they're real. They're a father and son. They're doing this thing together, and they're just a family farm producing pork for the world. And they like that. They get with that idea, and they can support that. They can see the blood, sweat, and tears we put into it. And it's not so much, they don't really focus on the fact that they're raised in a hog barn. They really actually start to understand why we raise pigs in a hog barn, because of what we do. And so I think that that's a huge misconception. And I think that it's been working very well for us. I think that what we do, bringing the people in on loading pigs, unloading pigs, sorting pigs, pulling pigs, treating pigs, all that stuff is just 100% transparency that people can really get behind. And so, obviously there's some things that you cannot show, that I try to be 100% transparent all the way through, but if you're not in the industry, I'm obviously not going to put a dead pig on our videos. That's just something that I'm never going to do, because no one's anyway, right? I'm not going to put that on there. So you got to watch, you got to be conscious of that stuff, obviously, but pretty much everything else, we're all out there. Here you go. This is what we do. And it's really, really worked. And I think more and more people, the more transparent you can be, the better. It builds the trust.
Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Oh yeah, let's get it going.
Are you still looking to sell your own bacon?
I would love to sell our own bacon. I really would. It would be, I think it'd be so cool to do it. I think that we have an audience and a customer base that would be willing to buy pork from us if we could do it.
The best part of being a pig farmer is?
I'd say the best part is you get to work with animals every day. It's different every day. It's not always the same job. Stuff breaks. Not every pig's the same. And also the time. If you get up and get your stuff done, usually every day, you can have time to do whatever you want with the rest you have the rest of the day. So that's really nice.
Worst part about being a pig farmer?
The worst part about being a pig farmer, I would say, is the power washing and getting up and loading pigs really late at night. I know that's not the case for everybody, but for the company we grow for, we're on the night shift for loading pigs. So anywhere from midnight to 6 a.m. in between that window, we get up and load. And man, that can drag you, but it's once you're done, you feel a sense of pride and fulfillment. So
if you weren't a pig farmer, what would you be doing?
I would probably be in real estate, or I would probably be selling my services to be a media person, doing media for businesses. Ultimately, I'd be an entrepreneur. I love it. It's who I am. I'd be starting a business in some way.
Favorite college and pro sports team?
Iowa Hawkeyes is my favorite college team. I definitely pay attention more to pro level football than I do college. And then Dallas Cowboys are my favorite pro sports team.
Most cherished passion or possession?
Oh man, most cherished passion. I'll be honest with you. I don't have a lot of passions outside of farming and business. Those are my two biggest passions. And then I guess the possession would just be this farm. There's so much legacy here. There's so much blood, sweat, and tears from the past generations that, like I said, I'm doing everything I can to pass it on to my kids. And I don't know if you call that a possession, but it really kind of is. It was, it's in our farm, it's in our family, and I want to continue it.
What about a most desired vacation destination?
Oh man. I don't know if I have an exact place, but I'm a mountain guy. I'd really like to, I'd go to Montana. I haven't been to Montana ever. I'd also really like to go to Greece. I think Greece looks really beautiful. I don't have that really thought out yet because I don't think it's in my future, just in the near future. I'll get there someday though.
You should check out the Green Mountain in New Hampshire too.
Green Mountain in New Hampshire. I got to write that down.
So what's the biggest obstacle and opportunity ahead for your operation?
So the biggest obstacle and opportunity for us, I think, is trying to start a direct to consumer business. there is so much that goes into that people don't even realize. Trying to find a USDA facility nowadays is really challenging. Trying to find one that also does private label where they will custom, put a label on your meat. It's another thing, because a lot of these USDA facilities, they just do wholesale or they do retail, but they don't do private label. And so finding those facilities is difficult. The whole branding side of it, you got to have a label, you got to have a box, you got to have if you're not going to do the fulfillment yourself, you got to have a fulfillment center that's going to fulfill it for you. All these things, the trucking, you're going to have to hire truckers to take the pigs to the processing facility, then take it to the fulfillment center. All these things, the shipping, you want to make sure your meat stays frozen when it shows up to the people's door. And so there's a lot of obstacles, but I think it's a huge opportunity for us, because I think it is something that not a lot of people are doing right now. I know the direct to consumers is being done, but the way that they're doing it is not the way that I would do it. I think the whole transparency that we have going is completely different from the norm. A lot of these direct to consumer businesses, you'll see they have a farmer page on their website, but really it's just a brief description about who the family is and the farm that they are. And there's a little family picture right in front of the barn. And that's all you get. You don't really get to see the farmer. There's no day-to-day life activity. There's no connection with the consumer. There's no connection with the audience. So I think having the audience already built that likes us, what we do, how we do it, likes our farm, then transitioning to be able to sell them meat will just solidify that gap and really show the story all the way through. And I think that's something that no one else is doing. So it's a huge opportunity that I really, really want to go, really, really want to do. It is on my mind a lot. I will not lie, Jim. Outside of everything else that we're doing, that is on my mind a lot of how I want to do this. But I'm very confident that I will do it. It's just a matter of when I can do it. Just got to get all the pieces in place.
I think it's the right approach. Build the brand. People see what kind of farmer you are, what you're doing on the farm. You have good content. People like to buy what they're familiar with or what they've heard. And then when you talk about the product, the better tasting product, that's going to tie it all together.
Yep. Yep, definitely. And I mean, I've done countless polls on my Instagram, on my YouTube, straight up asking people, if you guys could buy from us direct to consumer, would you? And it's been a very, very positive feedback. People, the majority of people, and it was just a yes or no. The majority of people that said yes, are average consumers out there that watch our channel that aren't farmers, or they're a different type of farmer. And then the no's were a lot of the feedback I got from the no's was, I'm already a pig farmer. I'm not going to buy from you because I already raised my own. And, it was like 89% yes, and then like 11% no, so really good numbers.
I think it's there because we buy granola from a supplier, direct supplier, somebody that's marketed their own brands, soaps. We buy from a butcher, but I do believe if you guys were here and you could buy a brand, then the next step is identifying that brand to like ThisLL Do or your bacon. So I think as you make it easier for consumers and build that brand where they want that desired product, I think it's just getting it going now.
Definitely.
Now you touched on the hot take a little bit with the lab meat. Is there any more of that hot take you want to talk about? Another hot take, or have we covered that?
Yeah, I can touch on the lab grown meat thing again. It's just something I don't think people are paying enough attention to. Integrators, individual people that are raising their own pigs, independent growers. It's just something I don't think we realize how fast the world truly is changing and how fast it's been changing. There's so much opportunity out there, and it's the same way in the food industry. And I've done my digging on it because I'm not somebody that's going to go, oh, that will never happen because I don't want it to happen, and then get blindsided when it does happen. So how can you position yourself to be ahead of these trends? And I mean, it's an opportunity out there that I think is going to happen in the future. And I think Tyson's already invested heavily into cell cultured meat. They're investing into companies, they're investing into brands that are doing it. And so to me, that screams, well, in the future, if this becomes more prevalent and more consumers will eat it, we'll probably have our own department in Tyson that will do cell cultured meat. And maybe the whole department will, because like I said, they want to cut the liabilities of having, the livestock delivered, and they can probably make more money growing meat in a lab than they can having the whole, system of bringing an animal from a baby all the way to a full grown, animal and then slaughtering it. So something to watch. It's something to definitely watch. And that's why I think trying to diversify yourself out of that system and try to go more your own way is a good hedge for the future. I do believe that that's a really good hedge. And maybe these integrators will figure this out and they will see it coming and they'll pivot themselves. Then therefore a lot of the growers that grow for them will pivot as well, which would be great. But what I'm seeing, that doesn't look like it's happening. So I just think being independent is going to go long term. And I don't think that cell cultured meat would take over. Like, I don't think meat would completely be decimated and no one would eat meat. What I can see happening is cell cultured meat being in grocery stores. And then, like, I don't think you'll ever go to a steakhouse and there won't be a real steak there. And, I don't think that will ever happen. I think a lot of restaurants will be real meat. I think there'll be some cell culture meat on the menu, but I really think people will want to go there for real meat. And also on the side that I'm talking about, direct to consumer, there's going to be people that will just not eat cell culture meat. We're already seeing it with like the plant-based burgers. People are just not going to eat it. They just don't want it. They don't trust it for whatever reason. And they're always going to eat real meat. And I think it's just another opportunity for us as people in the industry to use that real meat, real 100% transparent meat. And I think that will honestly become a label. Like, I really do. I think real meat will become a label, which is like, who thought you would ever have to mark that down as real meat? But it's crazy. I think there's a lot of opportunity for meat still, because I think there's always going to be people that'll eat real meat. So
in wrapping, we want to talk about Sawyer's vision. So what's your vision, goals, and leadership approach you plan on leveraging to thrive in the future?
So my vision is really just to continue to build the brand of what we're doing, sharing our story, giving people value on ag and showing people who we are outside of just farming. Continue to grow that, post on all platforms, get bigger on that. We would like to monetize it because it is a second job. We really want to live. My vision is I want to grow this farm. I want to make it viable for my kids. So I want to take as little away from the farm as I possibly can. And if Dad and I could, live off of what we're doing on social media, not take away from the farm, let the farm grow itself, that helps us out and everyone's happy and we continue to grow the social media. And also, I really want to start the direct to consumer meat business. I have a bigger vision with that than just us, but I guess that's all I'll say with it. And I already have a name picked out and everything. But I don't want to give anybody else any ideas of what I want to do until it's out there. But it's bigger than just us. I would definitely want to expand further than what just ThisLL Do Farm and partner with other people to do exactly what we're doing. And I think that long term, I would like to do it just further than meat. I think transparency across the whole food system would be amazing. And if there's somebody out there that could do that and really do it well, I think that is just an amazing opportunity. And I think that that's something else that's on my radar. If I wanted to go further than the meat thing, maybe just doing food on top of that to make it transparent and everything. Honest and transparent is the biggest thing for us.
So you want to keep the generational farm going, drive a media business, get your own product out there. What about having like a chop house on site, like a big restaurant, tourist attraction?
I would actually love to open a steakhouse one day when I'm in my, 40s, 50s. If everything went well and I had someone to run it, if I had money was no object, because let's be real restaurant businesses are really challenging. And if I could just have a restaurant that broke even every year, that's fine with me. Obviously, I'd like to make money, but it's not an easy business. And so I'd only start it if I had a lot of capital to do so, then I wasn't worried about, but I think it would be so cool to do a steakhouse and have that transparency there and, implement all the things that I'm talking about, just knowing your farmer and stuff like that, and just create a really good atmosphere that people can enjoy. Also, I guess this isn't just farming, real estate. I want to continue to grow the real estate with my brother. That's something I have more of a backseat on that. I am helping him with capital, and I'm also being there when I can because I'm limited on my time. Whenever he asks, I'm trying to be there, but I'm really trying to grow that as well. And personal finance, always trying to grow my stuff on that side too. So, because diversification is really important. And yeah, so just doing everything I possibly can to achieve the goal of making this farm viable for the 7th generation. So
yeah, keep up the good work. Really appreciate you joining us, Sawyer, and
really appreciate coming on, Jim. It was an absolute pleasure. And you have a good platform here, a lot of great stories. So just keep doing it. We need it.
Yeah, and people can Google or on YouTube Barn Talk, and they can buy merch too.
Yep. Yeah. I actually got Barn Talk merch on right now. You can buy Barn Talk merch or ThisLL Do Farm merch. It's at ThisLL Do Co. ThisLL Do.co is the website. Follow us on all platforms, Barn Talk and ThisLL Do Farm, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. If you search either of those up, you can find us. Facebook as well. So just if you got some value, guys, give us a follow. We'd love to have you.
Say hi to the other Whistler.
Yeah, I'll do that for you. I'll tell Torque that Jim said what's up. So,
and cheers. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.